Hey there! Welcome to Embracing New Life, the podcast at the intersection of discussions about mental health and the church. If you're new, thanks for stopping by. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. Today's episode is part one of a two-part series on counseling myths about Christian counseling from a non-religious standpoint. Here are a few teasers from today's episode. Christian counselors just preach at you.
That would be very scary if I thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And what we're doing as counselors is we're striving to understand the other person.
Religion may be a part of somebody's identity, just like non-religion might be a part of somebody's identity. But there's just so many other parts of that identity that are valid and important as well.
Yes. And that when there's a difference, I am learning about that person. It's not something that I am supposed to change.
Yeah.
That is about them.
Yep. So you know what time it is. Grab that beverage of choice, find a comfortable spot and sit back and relax. Or if you prefer, go for a walk or do something while listening. But let's begin today's episode.
In our work as Christian counselor, psychologist, family therapist, social workers, we encounter suspicions at times about the type of work that we do and what are we up to. Some of those who are not identifying as Christian are very concerned about what we do, and we've identified some of the thoughts and concerns, the myths that they operate with.
Yeah, so we've identified 6 that we can work through here. So the first one would be, Christian counselors just preach at you. What would you say to somebody who has that response?
That would be very scary if I thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of implications in that thought that the job of the Christian is to preach. And what's intriguing is we see, even in Jesus' life, there was times of teaching, but much of what's revealed to us is about relating.
Yeah.
And that a Christian counselor wanting to be Christ-like will be very focused on relating in truth and love.
Yeah, and you'll see a consistent relational connection with whether it's a Christian or a non-Christian who comes into the counseling office.
That's right, because it's a person, it's not a group, club, or anything like that. We're going to relate to the unique person that's sitting across from us.
And each person has so many different types of needs and desires and ways in which they need to grow and develop as a person that makes each interaction unique in and of itself.
And what we're doing as counselors is we're striving to understand the other person and facilitate them understanding as well.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're coming in with a program that they must adhere to. Quite the contrary, we're learning with each other. Together, we're coming to a greater understanding and making plans out of that understanding.
Yeah. And I think it's probably good to also acknowledge the fact that not even for Christians or even for non-Christians, right? Not every person that you talk to are you going to necessarily connect with. And so there are times in which you may need to switch a counselor just because the connection isn't the best for you.
Because each one of us is unique.
Yeah. And so here at New Life, we try to do our best to connect them to the person that's going to be the best fit for them. But also, if it's not the best fit, there's probably somebody else that can work just as proactively and well with them as the initial person.
Yep. That's true.
Great. Myth number 2 would be Christian counselors just judge and condemn you.
Again, that would be very scary.
Yeah, and unfortunate.
And tragically, so many of us struggle with that inner judge that does sit and condemn and judge us, and we need to come to grips with that. And it's easy to believe someone on the outside is going to do that.
Yeah.
What we strive to do is to learn what it is like to be you, what it is like to be the counselee, and to facilitate the counselee experiencing themselves in a very realistic way. That would then be made in the image of God, deeply loved, with the challenges that they find themselves in.
Yeah, that's good. Because, I think I find that that's a big complaint from religious individuals who are potentially going to seek services through a Christian clinic is that idea that, they're going to be judged according to the standard of the religious person, and not just be dealt with as the individual for where they're at and what they're dealing with.
Yeah, and one of the beautiful elements of our Christian faith is that there is forgiveness and there is grace, that we're not under condemnation.
Yeah.
And we want to reflect that so the person addressing whatever challenges are before them is able to have the resources to be love motivated rather than fear motivated.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm glad you said the love motivated, because Paul significantly talks about the fact that you can have a lot of stuff in life, but if you lack love, then it's all meaningless.
You can have the right answer and be completely irrelevant and off base and even dangerous.
Yeah, most definitely. Mm-hmm. Okay, myth number 3. Christian counselors can't understand me because I'm non-religious.
And that seems to imply, that belief seems to imply that the only thing that's important is, are you religious?
Yeah.
Which, not even sure how people use that term any longer.
Yeah.
It ignores the universal humanity that we all share.
Mm-hmm.
That I can learn what it's like to be you, what you think, feel, how you perceive, how you experience. And that there are ways that we are similar, there are some ways we're different, but we share this common humanity and common human journey. The differences are part of knowing each other.
Yeah. Yep. And the fact, too, right, that, yes, religion may be a part of somebody's identity, just like non-religion might be a part of somebody's identity. But there's just so many other parts of that identity that are valid and important as well.
Yes. And that when there's a difference, I am learning about that person. It's not something that I am supposed to change.
Yeah.
That is about them.
Yep. No, it's good.
I work with people of many faiths or no faiths at all. And I know that when they present with this type of concern, usually it lasts about 15 minutes. Because as soon as we start addressing what their concern is, they're experiencing, you're starting to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that from what I understand, here at the clinic, we get a lot of people who are, maybe used to be religious but aren't anymore, or just have never been religious, and yet, they're still seeking services and finding help and healing here at the clinic,
Yeah.
Myth number 4 would be Christian counselors are out to convert me or make me a Christian.
This, I'm thinking of a gentleman that I started to work with some time ago. He's a physician referred by one of his colleagues, and he's Hindu. First thing he said is, I don't want to be a Christian. And I asked, is that why you came today? For I could see he was very afraid that there was going to be an attempt to try to convert him.
Yeah.
And then that would be the answer that I would offer him. And I identified that I wanted to understand what being a Hindu meant to him. That opened up many, over our time together, that has opened up many very important discussions about how he understands himself, how he understands the ultimate questions of life.
Yeah.
And those are things that we're still exploring.
Yeah, and you can have open dialogue about those things, and not in a threatening or judgmental way, but just in a loving, compassionate, getting to know you way like you've talked about.
Join us next week as we continue our exploration of counseling myths about Christian counseling from a non-religious standpoint in part 2 of this 2-part series. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Embracing New Life, the podcast. New episodes will be released weekly, so make sure you subscribe and set your notifications to on so you do not miss an episode. Embracing New Life is a production of New Life Resources, a Christian counseling clinic in Southeast Wisconsin, whose aim and goal since 1976 has been to provide high-quality professional counseling, psychological, and consulting services from within a Christian framework.